Hello and welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard Life. I am Precious Chukudi. How are you guys holding up with the sun? The weather is extremely hot. I hope you're protecting yourself with sunscreen and whatnot because this sun is not, it didn't come to joke at all. The weather is extremely hot these days and the heat is something else. All right, let's start off with the front pages of Vanguard, and Vanguard is leading with insecurity. Recall ex-servicemen now. Retired military officers tell federal government. The writer says recommend aggressive recruitment of new security personnel, seek erection of walls at nation's borders. Civilian human intelligence gathering will help. That's coming from Irabo. Military stretch thin. That's coming from a security expert. On page 5, PDP crisis. Focus now on campaigns. That's coming from a PCC Source. Stories above. We have rep probes 115 MDAs over 600 billion naira extra-budgetary expenditures on salaries, wages. COP27, Nigeria to get 95 million euro as UK increases climate adaptation budget. On page 11, we have 10 deaths, cause missing, houses razed as soldiers, youths clash. Terrorists abduct a Catholic priest in Kaduna. On page 10, trapped funds, Emirates Airline will be paid. That's come from federal government. On page 9, half salary, ASUU ends NEC meeting, rules out another strike. Ataga, Chidima had sexual relationship with foster father. That's coming from police witness. And we have a court remands EFCC boss in prison over seizure of 40 million naira Range Rover. And lastly, on the front page of Vanguard, we have 2023 court orders INEC to respond to fresh suits seeking to disqualify Tinubu. All right, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with diesel, gas prices compound FX woes, inflation outlook. We have stories below. Insecurity, Nigerians worried over threat to 2023 polls despite assurances. PDP denies resignation of PCC chair as aid tips Atiku to win despite RIF. Stories above. Court commits EFCC chairman to prison. Direct IGP to execute order. ASUU forecloses fresh strike. Decries half pay. 90% of leaders shy from observing corporate governance, says IOD. New Naira notes, good policy, bad timing. All right, let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. The Nation is leading with Wike others take anti-Atiku Batu to Bauchi governor. G5 governors to meet Bala Mohammed today. Atiku hosts governor in Abuja. New Naira notes, banks get 52 billion naira cash deposit in 2 weeks. Why bill redesign is desirable by Nasima. UK government okays 95 million pounds for 4 million Nigerians. 2023 elections. What are the big four offering? $2 billion required to complete Ajaokuta, says minister. ASUU rejects payment of half salary to members. All right, so let's take a look at the Punch newspaper, and the Punch is leading with 2023 polls. Subject presidential candidate orders to psychiatric tests. That's coming from NMA. The writer says that those with untreatable mental neurological problems should not lead. Medical body offers to set up panel of renowned specialists to do screening. And we can see a photo story showing NYC ask members to promote unity, nation building. Hush Puppy jailed 11 years despite wife Imam's plea. You can see that on pages 4 and 5. ASUU awaits a court ruling on half pay. And Nigeria, 16 countries to fight money laundering, terrorism. You can see that on page 14. And last year on the front page of the Punch newspaper, COP27, federal government eyes a $400 billion for energy transition plan. And that's how we can take on the front pages of the papers. Join us after the break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining still today in the news on Vanguard Live, I am Precious Chukudi. Unfortunately, our guests will not be able to join us this morning. But then again, we'll just look at some of the stories on the front pages of the papers, and we'll be starting off with insecurity. Recall ex-servicemen now, retired military officers tell federal government. And against the backdrop of continuing banditry, terrorist attack, and kidnapping in several parts of the country, retired senior military officers of the 33rd Regular Course of the Nigerian Defense Academy have called on the federal government to initiate modalities to engage the services of ex-servicemen to bolster the numbers of troops available to fight insecurity. Now, according to the retired officers, the nation's armed forces is currently overstretched, hence the urgent need to bring back retired military officers who are willing and capable to assist in the training of younger officers and men. Now, the president of the 33rd Regular Corps Association, Air Commodore Ibrahim Umar, retired, who made a call during the annual general meeting of the association in Kaduna, urged the government to, without delay, engage ex-servicemen to overcome banditry, terrorism, and kidnapping. Air Commodore Umar also demanded the recruitment of more officers and men into the armed forces in order to police some of the ungoverned space in the country and around the nation's porous borders. He added that the time had come for the federal government to consider erecting walls around the nation's borders to safeguard the country from external aggression and checkmate illegal immigrants into the country. But then again, when you think about it, our borders are extremely porous, like anybody and anything can just go across those borders, and there's nothing that can really be done. But then again, looking at what Air Commodore Umar is saying, that the government has to look at erecting walls around our borders and everything. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments. All right, moving on to our next story, and we'll be looking at half salary. ASUU ends NEC meeting, rules out another strike. And the Academic Staff Union of University ASUU ended its Natural Executive Committee NEC meeting with a resolution not to embark on another strike following the payment of half salaries to members by the federal government. Rather, the union, resolved to wait for the outcome of the intervention of Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajemi-Amila, in its face-off with the government over the alleged non-implementation of the 2009 agreement by the latter. Although no member of the body, including the president who attended the meeting held at the University of Abuja campus, where ASUU headquarters is located, has spoken about the outcome. A source said that members resolved not to explore the strike option in getting the government to address the contending issue. It was gathered that some members had pushed for declaration of total and comprehensive strike across public universities across the country, but majority kicked against the action, saying it was no longer fashionable under the present circumstances. Now, those against the strike argued that it would be wrong to embark on the action again, thus compelling students who had already returned to their various schools following earlier suspension of the action to return home. And then again, it's good to see that at least the positive part of the meeting is that there will be no more strike, as they will not embark on any strike for now, at least, so that students who are already in school can just focus. In fact, some of the schools have already started to set up examinations for these students, and I've been seeing different kind of timetables already. It's just so unfortunate that when things like this happen, they say when two elephants fight, the grass suffers, and the students here are the grass because they have to be in a rush to read and study for their exams and everything, because some of them are already taking out their mind, or taking their minds away from the fact that they would even resume this year. They thought that it would be a next year thing, but seeing what's happening, let's hope and see what ASUU will do this time, and we hope that it's just for the best for the students. All right, moving on, let's take the next story, and that's PDP crisis. Articles focus now on campaigns, not on Wike others, and that's coming from PCC Source. Now, given what has been described as the hardline position of some critical actors in the crisis ravaging the main opposition People Democratic Party, a member of the Presidential Campaign Council, PCC, has said that focus has shifted from reconciliation to campaign proper. Now, the PCC member who spoke on condition of anonymity hinted that the camp of the presidential candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is no longer looking in the direction of reconciliation because the train has moved. Now, Governor Wike of Rivers State and his allies, which includes 4 other PDP governors, are insisting on the resignation of the national chairman, Dr. ASUU, as a condition for supporting Atiku Abubakar at the polls. However, the PCC member said moves by Wike and his allies to influence votes against the PDP candidates in their respective states will fail because Atiku rallies have been widely accepted. The campaign is going on smoothly. So far, so good. There is wide acceptance of Atiku everywhere he had gone to campaign. Now, according to the member, he said that Wike and his allies have a right to talk and they have a right to support whoever they deem fit, but equating themselves as one individual being the totality of votes from their state is an irresponsible statement to make. In Oyo State, for instance, can a Makinde say people should not vote for Atiku? it is irresponsible to say you will determine how the people in your state will vote. Makinde is neither Obafemi Awolowo nor Bola Ige. He's just one politician who is struggling to survive in his local politics. He has no authority to determine how the people of your state will vote. And that's coming from the PCC members. Well, the real truth of the matter is that, the PDP party, they need to solve all their problems. It's just too much. I mean, like, seeing that we're in a time where different parties are already campaigning, doing different matches and whatnot, the PDP still has the back and forth of if Dr. Ayi should go or if he shouldn't go. Then we have the G5 governors too, who might even become G6 as a result of what's happening with Bala Mohammed. And then it just looks like they're not even trying to just forge ahead. Like, you will deal with your issues later. Just try and make sure that your party is together and see how you can compete come 2023 elections. They seem to be so engrossed in themselves. Everybody seems to be so concerned about how this works for them, how it benefits them, rather than what benefits the party. And, it's just so sad to see. Because at this point in time, you guys are supposed to be telling us what you're going to do for Nigerians come 2023 elections. Why people should vote for your party and not to be having skirmishes in your party or fights and, people arguing or looking for who is more superior than the other. It just doesn't make any sense. I hope they solve their whole situation, and what the PCC source is saying is that, Atiku has moved on. He's no longer talking about reconciliation. He just wants to focus on campaign. And I think he's also going to need, everyone in the party, their backing, even these governors, the G5 governors, they have to find a way to come around it and say, okay, let's keep all our grievances aside and, forge ahead as, a party. That's what's more important than any personal grievances or whatnot. All right, moving on to our next story. Reps probe 115 MDAs over 600 billion naira extra budgetary expenditures on salary. And the story goes like the Public Account Committee, PAC, of the House of Representatives has commenced probe of 115 ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs, of the federal government alleged to have made over 600 billion naira extra budgetary expenditures on salaries and wages. Now, this development was a fallout of the audit queries raised by Office of the Auditor General of the Federation from 2018 till date. Now, chairman of the committee, Wale Oke, who addressed a team of auditors from the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, led by the acting Accountant General of the Federation, Mr. Sylvia Okoliabo, said relying on circulars to act was a breach of the law. Now, the audit query had read to us. Audit observed that 203 MDAs exceeded their personnel cost budget by 641 billion naira, while 115 MDAs had zero personnel cost, even though there was budget allocation for them. Now, the sources of extra funds for salaries and wages in 103 MDAs were not disclosed. Also, the reason for zero personnel budget allocation for the 115 MDAs were not stated, despite the fact that the MDAs under defense had annual budget approved for them. While advising the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation to investigate the sources of the extra budgetary expenditures and reason for non-compliance with laid down financial regulations, the query also stated that failure to justify the sources and reasons for the expenditures in charge will be held pecuniarily responsible. Okay insisted that the MDAs erred by not following the extant law. This is an aberration of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, clear rape of financial regulations and Public Procurement Act. Nobody has the power to appropriate any money to any MDAs except the National Assembly through the budget from Mr. President before the passage of Mr. President's appropriation bill. It has to pass through stages, and after the passage, it has to return to Mr. President for his assent. It just speaks about the kind of lapses that we have in the country, how people are not even immune to this corruption thing, and corruption seems to be like their cake and wine, if I can use that term. People wake up to just feeling like yes, they can do whatever they need to do. I mean, to say that this has happened since 2018 till date, over 600 billion naira extra budgetary expenditures on salaries, and they can't even trace where it's going to or where it's coming from, is very sad. I mean, we deserve better in this country. We have too many things going on. We have our debt going on. We have the fact that we're still borrowing more money, and yet we still find out that these corrupt practices are still going on in some ministries and agencies. It doesn't speak so well of this country. And I hope they really nip it in the bud, because I mean, we're tired of hearing money went to this place, money went to there. Very soon they'll say it was probably a monkey that ate the money, or maybe a rat or a snake that swallowed the money. All right, let's take a look at Mr. and Mrs. Before we go. Mr. is actually leading. Mr. says, I like everything in that soup, especially the stockfish. How can I get that type of soup regularly? And Mrs. says, invest in stock exchange. Give me money, you will get plenty of stockfish. Trust me, sis, with that one. Of course, you know, in the same way they say the road to a man's heart is through his stomach. If you give the woman money, she would make that road very smooth for you. All right, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I am Precious Chukwudi. Remember that you can equally like, share, and subscribe on all our social media platforms showing on your screen on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Also, our WhatsApp number is displayed on your screen. To find out more, go to our website www.vanguardindia.com to find out more. Thank you for watching.